Well, hello, Christians. Believe it or not, this is the third time I've made this video. Honey, would you let the dogs in? Thank you.
Yes.
I was going to grab the Bible, but this is my book of the prophet Hosea, and I want to read you something right off the bat. This is will be in chapter 6, verse 4. God says this. This is Old Testament. What shall I do with you, O Ephraim? What shall I do with you, O Judah? Your love is like a morning cloud, like the dew that goes away early. He's talking about sin there. Now, I want to share something with you. I don't know how long this is going to take, but we need to get to it, because there's going to be a time when these things are going to come about. You've all heard of Father Abraham. His son was Isaac, and his son was Jacob. And Jacob had quite a few sons, and I think a daughter. I probably ought to check on that. But his son Joseph was a favorite. He was young, and Jacob was an old man, and the brothers became jealous when Joseph got his blessing, because Jacob loved him. He was old. So you know the story of Joseph being taken by his brothers and thrown in a well, and then they took him out of the well and sold him to a caravan going to Egypt. And that's where he stayed. He was educated in Egypt. He did many things in Egypt. And he ended up ruling the country by the authority of the Egyptian king. So, Joseph had two sons, Ephram and Manasseh. Now, we get into something here that not too many people know about, unless you study Scripture. Ephraim and Manasseh were taken to Jacob by Joseph when the old man was sick. And Jacob struggled to sit up on the edge of the bed, and Joseph thought that he would give his favorite the better blessing, the stronger blessing, so he switched the boys. But the old man crossed his hands and put his hands on the head of each son and gave him a blessing. And they went back to Egypt, and the boys were raised there in luxury, affluent. But something you may not know, those two boys represented tribes of Israel, even though they weren't with the family. They used to talk about lost tribes. The tribes weren't lost. It was Ephraim and Manasseh. Early on, Ephraim's descendants and Manasseh's descendants settled the British Isles, settled Australia, settled the United States of America, and who knows where else, but those three they did. There were many, many Jews in the British Isles, the UK, England, Australia, and America later on. So that's where we are. Now, the Battle of Jezreel is going to happen at some point. Armageddon, people call it. And soldiers by the millions will come from Russia, China, Iraq, Iran, everywhere. And they're going to come against Israel. Who is Israel? The 12 tribes. Israel itself, the British Isles, England, Australia, America. Now, that statement that we just read, "O Ephraim, what am I to do with you? What am I to do with you, Judah?" That's put in there because God is going to let, pardon me, God is going to let Israel fall. And Israel are the ones that we just mentioned. The reason we are all Israel is because we are like brothers. We're part of the 12 tribes. So, when they come against Israel, they're going to come against England, Australia, and America, and they'll fall probably within a month of each other. Believe it or not, that's the history of the settlement of these three places, and undoubtedly others. But we'll stand alone, and we'll fall alone because of sin. He's going to let it happen. Now, we have many, many Christians hoping for the rapture before Satan begins doing his thing on the plain of Jezreel. That may be, and it may not be. Christians are kind of looking for an easy way out. Nobody wants to go through that mess. And you can't blame them. Us. But if we have to, we do. We know that Jesus Christ is going to end it with a word of his mouth. He's going to end it. But we don't know what's going to happen up until that time, before we meet him in the clouds. So there may not be an easy way out, folks. And here's where we have an opportunity to join the family of God. Also, the ones that are here during the time of the tribulation, the second 3.5 years, you don't have a chip in your hand or your forehead and they're going to say, "No chip, no trading." And if you refuse to take the chip and become a Christian, your family's going to die right along with you. Now, God's angels that are going to be here, and I call them angels because they're going to be here to accept people into the family of God. Those angels will accept you. But if a working man or woman or anyone decides to join the family of God during that period of time, and it's found out, and they say, "Look, you have a choice to make. You have a son, a daughter, a mother, a father, a sister, a brother. You want to do that? Do it. At the cost of the lives of your entire family." Do you realize how much courage it's going to take at that time to join the family of God? We have an opportunity to do it now. Right now. It's not that hard. You accept Christ into your life. Read Scripture. We know what's going to happen. The book of Daniel, the Revelation to John, it all tells us. It tells us what's going to happen. And I don't want that to happen. Not to my family or anybody. I have members of my own family that I pray for that haven't accepted Christ yet. Good heavens. Let's do it. So listen, I'm going to cut this off. I love you guys. I needed you to know that. I want you to know that every day is a good day. Life is sweet, bumps and all.